guys, today is an episode of the Best of the Rest covering the remainder of the weekend's Premier League action that I haven't already talked about. So we'll start off with Wolves managing to beat Tottenham at home at Molineux. I thought this was a really good game because it was definitely a game of two halves. First half, it wasn't a great watch. Wolves weren't getting forward at all, and Tottenham were having pretty much all the chances. Kulusevski, Pedro Porro, Heung-min Son, all coming, Perisic even, all coming close to scoring and forcing Jose Sarr into saves. But I don't think Wolves even had a touch in the opposition's penalty box in the first half. It wasn't a bad defensive performance from Wolves, but it was very, very, I don't know, disappointing if you're a Wolves fan, I think, the first half. But Julen Lopetegui made a change around half time or at the start of the second half, bringing on Adama Traore, and also I think he brought on Nathan Collins at a similar time and changed the system up a bit. It brought Collins on for a midfielder, so he went to a three at the back because I think Kilman took a bad knock in the first half and Diego Costa went off injured as well, so Jimenez came on as well. So second half, it was a different Wolves side to what started the first. And Tottenham had a good chance at the start of the second half through Heung-min Son to score. He hit the bar, and that just seemed to, I don't know, inspire Wolves a little bit. Just like, right, we need to get forward because at some point, if we don't, they're going to just put us under too much pressure and, force one in eventually. And yeah, the first chance, Jimenez just plays it across goal to Nelson Semedo. Semedo can't quite get on the end of it, but he just seemed to, raise the volume around Molineux in the home section. And I think Wolves just found a bit of inspiration from that. And then from then on, for the final half an hour of the game, it was very rare that Tottenham actually got forward because, they were the better side in the first 55 minutes of this match. But the final half an hour, it was all Wolves pretty much. There was a couple of times where Tottenham threatened on the counter, don't get me wrong, but it was like I was watching this from like Adama Traore and Raul Jimenez up front, and I was just thinking, I had to look at my calendar at one point. Is it 2023 or is it 2019 or something? Like Traore and Jimenez, I haven't seen them, link up this well together for Wolves in a good 3 years, I reckon. Probably since before Jimenez had his terrible head injury in late 2020. So yeah, it was a brilliant finish to the game from Wolves. They were creating chances. Cunha came close on one occasion as well. Neves had a couple of efforts that went just over the bar or just wide. But the goal eventually comes from good football. Jimenez getting a shot off, Forster having to save it, and it is a superb finish from Adama Traore. It's one of them where if that ball falls to him like that, I reckon 8 times out of 10 he misses that, but it goes off the bar in top corner. Brilliant finish. It was almost like a scissor kick volley. The way he did strike it in the end, but it was a brilliant finish from Traore, and I think this has definitely put a big dent in Tottenham's top 4 hopes, because I did think after Tottenham got knocked out of the cup in the week that that sort of takes a little bit of pressure off them in they're not fighting on 3 fronts, because obviously they're still in the Champions League. They're only a goal down to Milan. But their main focus is going to be getting Champions League again next season, because the money you get from that is too important. And it's all of a sudden with Liverpool's win yesterday, it looks like Tottenham's position in the top 4 as it stands is under threat a little bit, and Newcastle aren't completely out of it yet. I wouldn't completely rule them out. It looks like they're struggling a little bit, but what this win does for Wolves, besides taking them up to 13th in the table, I think it makes them comfortable. And then in the Saturday afternoon kickoff, Southampton beat Leicester in a game where I thought I thought Southampton were the better side, and it wasn't too far from being an even game. I think Southampton were a little bit, I don't know what to say, but a little bit more clinical when going forwards. I know they did miss the penalty, and for me it was a penalty. The question over Timothy Castagna diving in and his arms being in the air. I think it's a penalty, and I know it's close range, but his left arm you can excuse. If the ball hits his left arm, I think he can get away with that, because the way he's dived in, his left arm, I think you've got to put, anyone who plays football knows that you've got to have one arm up just to sort of balance yourself, because if you dive in like with your arms down your side, both arms down by your side, you just look like it's not natural. But the fact that the right arm, the arm closest to Walcott, comes back over almost like a windmill action, for me it's, you know, it's not necessary. So I think, and it does block across, so for me I think it was a correct decision. Ward-Prowse's penalty right now, we need a discussion over this, because is Ward-Prowse actually better at free kicks than penalties? As in, like, does he have a better chance of scoring a free kick than a penalty? It's I can't believe that's even a question for any footballer. But obviously, the way he took that penalty, it was the same technique he uses for a free kick. The way he tries to whip the ball, and you know, the way he uses that technique, he's never going to keep it on the ground. So I think if he's using that technique, and he's good enough to aim for the top corner from a penalty. If you can aim for the top corner from a free kick, you can do it from a penalty. So I think if you're using that technique, you've got to go for the top corner on the near side, on the left side of the goal, because he's right-footed. But he goes keeper's height. Danny Ward gets down well, saves it, and I thought, was that Southampton's chance? But you know, I still think, even as poor as Southampton have been this season, and the amount of time they've spent in the relegation zone, I think they've been in the relegation zone pretty much since the start of the season. But as poor as they have been, I've always felt as though there's something, you know, within them that can still come out of this season, because they do get these wins every now and again where you're like, how did they win that one again? Like they've done the double over Leicester this season, I think. They've beaten Chelsea away, beaten Everton away, tough fixtures, and you know, it's definitely not impossible for them to stay up. And Carlos Alcaraz, who, to be fair, I think he thought he was going to be sent off about 10 minutes before he scored. It's a strong tackle. I think it's a very strong yellow. He's got lucky, because I think there was a bit of, you know, malicious intent in it. But he's lucky that it's only on his studs on the boot. It's not any higher up. So I think he maybe just about gets away with it for me. He scored a brilliant goal. It was a brilliant counter-attack from Che Adams and a few of the other Southampton players on the right. And it was a brilliant finish from Alcaraz as well, who injured himself in the celebration somehow doing a knee slide, which he messed up horribly. And yeah, in the end, that goal was enough to win it. Leicester, they got forward on multiple occasions throughout the second half. Kelechi Iheanacho, should have had a hat-trick this game. Iheanacho is a strange striker, because when people talk about strikers being inconsistent, you think game by game. Like, for instance, someone who's inconsistent for me in the Premier League as a striker, when I think of inconsistent strikers, is probably Kai Havertz. Because game by game, you don't know if he gets a big chance, will he be able to score it. 1 week he will, 1 week he definitely won't. So Iheanacho, I would say, is different to that. Iheanacho sort of has purple patches. He's inconsistent throughout the season, but not game by game, if that makes sense. So he'll have a run of maybe 10 games where, you know, he can't stop finding the back of the net, and then he'll have a run of 10 where he can't score for, you know, to save his life. So yeah, it's just one of them. And Suter obviously had the big chance at the end. I don't think there was much else he could do. He tried his best, couldn't quite get over it, even as big as he is. So yeah, but a huge win for Southampton, and they're going to need a few more to stay up this season. And then the final game I wanted to cover today is Nottingham Forest and Everton playing out a 2-2 draw at the City Ground. And yeah, this game was a really good game as well. Everton in the first half, I thought, were the more dominant team. They got the early penalty. It was clumsy from John Joe Shelby to give away the penalty. I think it was Dwight McNeil who he caught, and yeah, he's a player, Shelby, who over the past year or so hasn't had much game time. So I think it could just be put down to, I don't know, not quite up to the speed he normally would be. And yeah, the penalty was taken by Damari Gray and dispatched well, sent the keeper the wrong way to make it 1-0. And Everton did have another shout for a penalty in the first half with Seamus Coleman, but I think it was a silly decision by Jack Colback to go for the ball, because he's completely behind Coleman, but he just about manages to get his leg in front of the man, and the contact is made with Coleman before he gets the ball, but because Coleman's looking to cross it in, and Coleman sort of kicks Colback's foot onto the ball, Colback gets away with it, and I think he gets very fortunate there. But it was Brennan Johnson who equalised for Forest, and Forest weren't great first half. They were much better in the second half, but it is just a really good goal from Johnson to equalise first time round. Gibbs White played a really nice 1-2 with Chris Wood, and a good shot from Gibbs White and forces a save out of Pickford, but Johnson's there to get the rebound and make it 1-1. But the second goal for Everton to put them in front, it was poor defending from Forest, because Everton effectively win 3 headers. The first one I think you can allow, but the second one from Michael Keane to head it onto Decore, I think with Joe Worrell you've probably got to look at and think he should have been a bit more proactive on not allowing Keane to have quite the space or the freedom to just head it towards goal. And no one really picks up Decore, so I think there was a bit of dodgy Nottingham Forest defending there, which I think Steve Cooper will probably have a look at before the next game. And given how strong Forest have been defensively as well, over the past couple of months since the restart of the Premier League. But second half, Forest responded well, in fairness to them. They just got forward on many more occasions. Really great goal from Brennan Johnson, curls it into the top corner, no chance for Pickford to save it to make it 2-2. And Forest kept going forward, but they just couldn't quite find the winner. And a lot of the match reaction after the game was about how this is a better result for Forest than it is for Everton. And I sort of agree, but I just feel as though this was a bit of a missed opportunity for Nottingham Forest, because I think Forest coming up have got some tough games, and that surely you want to get the 3 points instead of the 2 points, because I think Forest could have gone above Wolves and Crystal Palace up to 12th had they have won this game. I think I'm right in saying that. And you just sort of clear yourself from danger a little bit with the tough run that they have got coming up. I can't quite remember, I've just heard it somewhere that they've got a tough run coming up, but I can't remember exactly who they've got. I know they've got Liverpool, I think they've got Arsenal still to play. So they have got some tough fixtures coming up. And yeah, I just feel as though this was a chance to get themselves a bit ahead of the rest down the bottom end of the Premier League. And yeah, obviously this is a bad result for Everton, having been taken the lead twice in this game, and the fact that they are desperate for any win possible right now. They're still in the relegation zone, 18th. And given that Everton's home form tends to be a lot better than the away form, I think they've only won once away from home so far this season, and I think that was at Southampton. Not the most hardest place to win ever. Not easy, of course, but this was a really good opportunity for them to pull themselves out of the relegation zone. So I think they'll be kicking themselves after that one, to be honest.